Howdy folks, so it's a nice day out, weather's starting to be consistently warm, so it's actually nice to run outside. And with that being said, we're going to talk today about things you can do to actually become faster, quicker, and to improve your top speed. So what I'm going to do is kind of break it up into three things. One's going to be workouts, the next is going to be strength, and the one after that will be your form. And each one will kind of talk about, show its importance, and how often you should incorporate it into your routine. So when thinking about what kind of training you should do to actually become faster and more game ready, what I like, the words that come to mind for me are speed endurance. You want to have that training so you can get up to speed and keep up with play when it's moving quickly, but you also want to have that endurance. You want to keep the consistency high from the first minute of the game to the 90th minute of the game. So your training should keep that in mind for each day you are working out. So for me, I'll have 3 different types of training days a week. I'll have a shorter sprint day, that's a technical day. I'll have a speed endurance day, which is really the day that I think is the hardest, where you're really getting at it and breaking your body down. And then you're also doing a distance day, where you're just trying to get mileage under your belt and get used to running long distances. Obviously during a game, you're covering a lot of mileage, especially at a high level. You can get 6, 8, even more miles during a game. So you're kind of incorporating each type of thing you need while you're in a high level game. So the first workout type is this technical speed day. That's when you're applying your speed drills that I'll show you later. You're applying proper form, and you're really just trying to get fast. So this is when you're just going all out for a short distance, 20-30 meters. You're just trying to be quick and explosive. Now, these aren't the days that you're going to kill yourself. They're difficult because you're exerting yourself pretty much at 100% effort, but you're giving yourself enough rest so you're not totally out of breath when you're done with the workouts. It's more on a quality setting over quantity. So that's one workout. The second kind of category is called speed endurance. So those are the days where you're really getting at it, you're really breaking yourself down, and you're trying to keep the consistency high. So examples are gonna be, and you can do this on you don't have to do this at a track, if you can lay out any distance or just anything that's, I would say, under a quarter mile is what I would say is considered a sprint. Some example workouts, if you're trying to think of something that kind of counts as speed endurance, is 8 200s at 2 minutes rest and trying to keep that around 85% max effort. And the goal of these is to keep the quality high. So yes, you're going to be breaking yourself down. Yes, you're going to be heaving at the end, but the goal is to allow you to control your breathing, try to recover quickly while still keeping a high speed throughout the whole workout. The goal isn't to just take the first few out as fast as you can and then just kind of dog the rest. You're trying to keep the times consistent, and that's really key. If you're thinking about during a game, how fast you sprint at the beginning should be pretty much the same as how fast you sprint at the end, especially when players are kind of in that elite shape. It doesn't really affect them, so neither should it affect you. So doing those days where you're A, running fast, but also B, keeping the quality high while your body's broken down. It doesn't wait for the game doesn't wait for you to catch your breath before you have to run again. So if you're training yourself to run fast where you're still out of breath, it's pretty important. And especially these workouts, it's very important to focus on your breathing. A lot of people I notice when they sprint, they run tense and they'll run really short breath. The goal is to kind of keep your breath and kind of very deep the whole time you're running. And when you get fatigued, try to just breathe a little deeper instead of cutting your breath shorter just so you can get more breaths in. So those are very important days. I'll also do some days where I do 400 meters. Those are going to be a little more relaxed, and especially when I'm starting off, that's a good way to just get some miles under your belt, get a little more distance in, especially when you're breaking yourself in if you haven't done sprints before. Start off with a little longer and slower, and then work into faster with less rest. Now, the last type of workout I'll do, running-wise, is just an endurance workout. I'll just go out for a run. I'm not going to be dogging it and just go for a light jog, but I'm still going to be hitting a pretty good tempo. Kind of that edge of uncomfortable feeling. Like if I went any faster, it'd be an uncomfortable run where I'm still cruising, but it's more of a pace set run. And this is a good thing to do to just get miles under your belt, to help with lactic acid buildup, circulation. So obviously during a game, especially if you're in the middle, you're getting a lot of miles in. So training your legs to do so is important. So as you can see, we kind of hit all the points as far as working out goes. So you're working on your speed endurance, and then your straight endurance. And that's kind of the trio I like to incorporate. It's good to be well-rounded, especially as a referee, because you're not limited to any movements or any speeds. You kind of got to be ready for whatever. So yeah, thanks. So I just kind of covered the actual running workouts that you should be incorporating into your routines. Now we're going to kind of talk about the more strength side of it. So strength has a lot to do with sprinting. Even if you look at a sprinter versus, let's say, a marathon runner, the physique is very different. Sprinters are going to have more developed muscles because of how important power is, while distance is all about efficiency. So they're going to have less weight because the amount of weight you carry with you per step is very important. And you have the fast twitch muscles for sprinters, and then you have the slow twitch muscles for distance runners. And so when you are working strength, you want to work your fast twitch muscles, and along with fast twitch muscles goes with explosiveness. You don't want to just do static lifts all the time when you're working out. You want to kind of do a combination of static lifts just for strength and muscle development, and then other workouts like jumps and more explosive workouts. So for static lifts, if you have weights, deadlifts are fantastic. If you can do weighted step-ups, get a plyo box, stairs, or a bench, and hold weights and do step-ups onto that, that's a great one as well. Single leg squats are good. If you are into Olympic lifting and you kind of want to do that sweet spot of explosiveness and strength, snatches are really good, power cleans are really good. So those, it's a whole realm. I'm not going to try to tell you exactly what to do, but I think if you look, there's enough information out there that I'm just going to tell you, if you are inspired and actually motivated enough, you should just go and look and see what applies to you as best, and it kind of entertains you and what you think is most fits you. So jumps are also a good way to train your fast twitch muscles and your explosiveness, as well as strength. Especially if you kind of look at athletes, a lot of the best sprinters are also really good at jumpers, and this kind of has to do with the application of how jumps in running is similar. It's kind of your feet going into the ground as powerful and fast as they can. So you can kind of see that correlation, how jumping can correlate into running, because running, the fastest person isn't the person who's moving their legs the fastest. Granted, that helps, but it's also the person putting the power into the ground the fastest and the most powerful. So kind of look at that. My March newsletter, I believe, has a jumping workout if you need any ideas. And just keep in mind, especially with these videos, there's methods to kind of how or what each thing's going to help you with and how they're interconnected. So like I said, jumping helps you with explosiveness and power, which is going to make you a better sprinter. And I'm about to show you some running drills that'll help make you faster, and those are actually incorporated into your warm-up. So you can kind of see the interconnectedness, and that's kind of how you should have your mentality towards training, is each thing's going to serve a purpose to actually get you to where you want to go. You're not just running to get in shape per se. If you're going to be running, you're going to be getting in shape anyway. So let's take it to that next level and actually try to get something out of it in regards to time and speed and form and quality of running. Let's make you a better athlete, not just in shape. I think that's a better mentality to have, just because there's a lot more components to have to getting and becoming a more well-rounded athlete than just becoming in shape. So that's just my take. If you don't like it, you don't have to listen to it, because it's just my opinion and it doesn't matter that much, really. So next thing is going to be form. Now, form is probably the easiest thing you can practice, because you can do it all the time when you run, and it will make your running a lot easier. If you can become more efficient at running because you make your form better, you are just adding speed with no extra effort needed. So, sounds pretty good. Let's show you A, things you should be thinking about for form, and then B, drills that'll kind of help you enhance that form down so you don't have to think about it when you're running and it just comes naturally. Because after all, during a game, the last thing on your mind is, how do I run right? So let's get to it. A lot of things out there in regards to form, so if you don't want to trust a washed up runner like me, Google it. There's a lot of information out there. I would recommend Googling and going on a lot of different websites just to make sure you're getting one collaborative fact on each part of form, because form's going to be the same for sprinting all around. It's not opinion based, it's science based, so let's keep that in mind. So first thing, one, most important, is running relaxed. Just because you're running faster doesn't mean you have to be more tense. So it's a good thing to focus on running relaxed. What I personally will do when I'm doing a sprint is I'll get up to speed and then I'll try to relax from there. I think it's better to go from tense to relaxed than just trying to start out relaxed, especially if you're trying to keep your speed. If you're trying to start relaxed, it's kind of a good chance you're just going to start running slower as is. So next is just going to be body positioning. You want your head to be neutral. Now, when I get tired, my head will start going up and I'll start leaning back. So what will I do to overcome that? I'll try to look not at the horizon, but a little lower than the horizon. Try to lengthen the back of my neck and my spine. The next is your shoulders. You want your shoulders dropped and not necessarily all the way back, but you want them to relax. You don't want to be hunched. Try to keep just a good posture. Running posture is just like standing posture. The next thing is going to be arms. A lot of people, give the 90 degrees chin to pocket, but let's be honest, we're not robots. You're going to have different arm movements based off your physiology and just what feels comfortable. So I'm going to be extending my arms a little bit just because that feels natural. I'm not going to be running with all my shoulders, but a lot of your power from your stride will come from your arms, especially when you get fatigued. People that are going to move their arms faster are most likely going to be running a little faster. So that's a good thing to keep in mind when running for form as well. Another thing is going to just be your whole angle of your upper body. The more upright you can be, the more pelvic thrust, like pelvic torque, I think the word is, that you're going to get, and the more power you'll be able to get to the ground. So if you're just thinking about your overall body structure, if your hips can stay underneath you, that's going to allow you to actually pick up your knee and drive it into the ground easier. So the next thing is going to be your knees. So the most power you're going to get out of into the ground is when your knee is at 90 degrees. So when your thigh is parallel to the ground and your shin is perpendicular to the ground. Obviously when you're running, it's going to be impossible to actually get it that high. But the idea is to try to pick up your knees as high as you can while you're running. The next thing is going to be your ankle. You want your toes pointed up, or you want your ankles dorsiflex. Now the importance for this is when it comes to your feet striking the ground. When you're sprinting and really running in general, you want your foot to strike the ground as far underneath you as you can. And the reason for this is when you step in front of you, that's actually slowing your body down. I mean, if you think about it, you're moving forward and you're stepping forward, that's just naturally stopping you, as opposed to when you're stepping right below you, the most force is going to be actually propelling you forward. And if you look at professional sprinters, I know there's a lot of videos that'll slow kind of it down really fast to show you a stride. They're only stepping a few inches underneath themselves. So one thing that helps with that is staying tall and dorsiflexing your ankle. Because when you kind of point your toe or you have it neutral, even if I just kick my foot out, it's going to hit the ground a lot farther in front as when I'm dorsiflexing it and it's hitting more underneath me. It allows me to stay taller because I'm more underneath myself. Now, one last thing for form that's important to think about is your recovery. So your recovery is once your leg hits the ground and it moves up and then back up to where it's ready to go into the ground again. For sprinting, it's important to have the shortest route of recovery as you can, because if you're moving less distance, you're going to be able to move it faster. So the first thing you should be thinking in your head is once my foot hits the ground, I want to pull it up and back out in front of me. A lot of people running are kind of wasting time letting their foot hit the ground and then it goes behind them and back up. So being quick with that is very important. I know I don't have a lot of time to cover everything, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you have any questions on your form, send a video to me of you running or sprinting. I can try to give you one or two things to work on. I know it's a lot of things, and the best way to approach this is pick on one thing, get good at that first when you run, and then go to the next thing. Because obviously it's kind of overwhelming. There's a lot of components of running, so I'll kind of quick summary: staying upright helps your hips stay under you, which allows you to get the most pelvic torque, which allows you to get the most power into the ground. If you pick your knees up higher so they're at 90 degrees, that allows you to get the most power into the ground. That'll help you propel yourself forward. If you want to dorsiflex your ankles, that allows you to step more underneath you, which allows you to be able to actually put more power to going forward rather than slowing you down. When you get tired, and especially something that is underestimated, is the power you get actually when you're moving your arms. Especially when I get tired, pretend you're banging on a drum. Your arm movement and your leg movement are correlated, so when you get tired and your legs are slowing down, let's try to move the arms faster. It'll probably make your legs move faster too. Now let's show you some drills. So, one drill you can do to work on your form is called A-skips. These are in the warm-up for the last video. As you can see, they're important to your form. So, what is an A-skip? So essentially you're doing a high march, where you're trying to get your legs up to 90 degrees, you're staying on your toe, and you're staying upright. However, you're going to add an element of explosiveness to it, and that is the little hop that you see in between. So instead of just up, so when you take your little hop on your foot, you're trying to push the leg that's coming up as fast as you can. Like that. And essentially you're just doing that as you go. And it really works on bringing your leg up quickly and getting that you locked in to that 90 degree on your leg, because that should be the part that should be muscle memory. Right when you lift up your leg, should be 90 degrees. Obviously it doesn't have to be exactly 90, but pretty close. And the muscle memory is going to be the best part and the most important part, because then you're not thinking about your form. All you got to do is focusing on running fast. So I'll show you it in full speed. Next one is going to be called B-skips. Kind of taking it to the next level. So, kind of when you're running, actually, your leg's up, you're extending it and letting your leg drop to the ground while pulling it backwards. So, a good way to kind of emphasize that is once you get up, you're going to try to whip it back into the ground. Now you're not kicking out and then bringing it back. It's up, down, and back. So you can do just a march if you want to ease into it. Or you can add that skip just because it helps you get it a little faster and a little more explosive. Another drill, kind of a workout, I guess you can make it a workout, is doing single leg or straight leg strides. So, why is this important? Is when your legs are straight and you're going back, it's really engaging your hamstring. So you're working on that hamstring pull and actually squeezing your glute when you run. And it's really powerful and focusing on power into the ground. Super simple, and you should do it. I'll show you a few fence drills, but just keep in mind that I'm showing you some pretty basic sprint drills. If you feel like you need to do something more complex, Google's great, just fine. The information's out there, there's tons of it. It's not a secret, so feel free to do that. The fence drills I'll show you are gonna focus on explosiveness and powering into the ground. You have a little more support so you can kind of really think about what you're doing. So one fence drill I'll do is gonna help me with cycling, keeping my knee up, and actually trying to work on my recovery to actually shorten that up. So I'm going to be on the fence, I'm going to support the fence, so I'm leaning pretty well on it, I'm staying upright, and my outside leg's at 90 degrees, and what I'm going to do is try to cycle through, so it hit the ground, and right when I hit the ground, focus on pulling it up and out again. And ideally, you want to do this as fast as you can, and you want to keep holding your leg up like this, because it really helps keep your hip flexor muscle strong, and allows you to actually pull your knee up. So it's a little bit of muscle training as well as muscle memory. And just holding it is going to help your body get used to that feeling of what 90 degrees feels like. So what you're going to do, look forward, and when you hit it, move your leg forward as well. And so you're going to look forward, and then you're going to focus on striking as fast as you can. And you want to freeze when you get to the top. You can hold it for a little bit. if you do 20 of them, it's gonna feel burnt. You're gonna feel a little bit of a burn, and that's okay. Do it on both legs. That's great. Yeah. So this drill is good, especially for being explosive, moving your feet fast, but also driving back into the ground close to where your foot took off. So what you're gonna do is kind of get a 45-degree angle, keep your hips forward so you're more neutral, get up to that 90 degrees. And what you're gonna do is essentially a high knees. What you're trying to do is drive back into the track instead of driving straight down. So I'll show you. And go through a few and then hold. This helps you with the muscle memory again. So, that's a good one. Those are all the drills I'll show you. That really helps you get the fundamentals down. Like I said, if you want to do anything more complex, go look it up. The idea of these drills and of this whole video isn't to show you something to say, hey, you would need to do this, but rather give you ideas for you to incorporate into your workouts so you can make them more beneficial to actually get you towards the goal that you want to reach. So that's the kind of general ideas for how to run faster and kind of what kind of workouts you need to do. Keep in mind, no one workout's going to make you fast. It's what you collectively do over a long period of time. So maybe once you start getting to a month to 2 months where you're working out consistently and doing running workouts a few days a week, you might start noticing changes in times. What I recommend, especially when you're doing the sprint endurance workouts, have a watch with you, time your runs. That helps you make sure you're staying consistent, and also you have to time your rest anyways. There is this thing which I like to do sometimes, is just going off of how you feel. You're not timing your run, you're still going to time your rest, but you're just going off of how you feel. You know, it's not all about the times all the time. It's listening to your body, how you feel. You're not going to have a great workout all the time. Sometimes it's good just the fact that you're out there doing something. So just know there's going to be balance. You're going to have those workouts that you're going to kill, and you're going to have those workouts that are going to kick your butt. So keep that in mind. If you have any questions on any workouts, if you need help on any form stuff, I'm not really going to be able to help out much on any drills, so Google's a great one for that. But just know that it's not one law for one path you have to take to actually get fast. It's multiple things. You have to incorporate multiple things, and just know that. I apologize if this video is confusing. It's a lot of information I'm trying to put in a short amount of time. Also, I'm not great at just talking to a camera. I'm better with conversations, so even if you want to call me or just message me, we can have a conversation. It's better to kind of walk through things, especially since we all are training in different environments. We have different gear. We're not all allowed to get to a gym, so that kind of affects things as well. One thing I will say is creativity, especially for working out, goes a long ways. Helps keep it exciting. It helps keep you to be more well-rounded because you're not just doing the same few basic exercises. And, you know, if you have any people you can work out with as a partner, I would recommend doing that as well. Even if they're not at the same fitness level as you, maybe if they're above you or below you, it's still good for someone to push each other. Even if they're not running right beside you, I feel like I'll do a lot more insane things when I'm with somebody versus just being by myself. So there's that. Like I said, a lot of information out there that is available to everybody. If you really want to look and dig deep into it, there's a lot more professionals and people that know a lot more than I do. I'm just kind of going off of my experience and trying to say some basic things to help get you to where you want to be. So good luck. If you have any questions, ask me. Thanks. Oh yeah, one last idea. Form should be something you think about every time you're running, mainly sprinting. Form is what's going to allow you to be more efficient, get the most distance per power, and it's going to allow you to be less fatigued as you run. One rule that pretty much every sprinter is told is when you start feeling tired and fatigued, go to your form. Focus on one aspect of your form. That's what's going to actually get you to finish the race. So especially when you're doing those workouts that you're really getting kicked in the butt, you're really feeling tired, focus on one aspect of your form to help get you through the rest of the run when you're tired. Form is very important, and the only time you really shouldn't be thinking about it is when you're in a game, because you have bigger fish to fry. And especially once you're in a game mode, hopefully you've done the training so your body already knows what to do. All you got to do is be thinking about the game. Thanks.